I was recently asked by somebody about my daughter. And some of you who know and have watched along know that I had a daughter with severe disabilities and I was her caregiver for over 20 years. Well, they asked, in love and concern and said, well, how did you get through that? How did you move from feeling devastated about her diagnosis into joy? Because joy is how I frame it. And I said, well, you know what? I had to reframe it. I actually had to physically, mentally, emotionally change the way I thought about a situation. This is Kathy Perry, corporate energy expert, helping you and your teams power up so you can serve with joy. Please subscribe to this channel because I give lots of tools, tips, and tactics. So today I'm going to talk about reframing after you've either gotten devastating news or there's an event that you need to change the way you look at it. So one of the first things you can do when reframing a situation is actually change the way you talk about it. Now, we know that often we'll say things like, well, I have to go to the grocery store, I have to take the kids to their sporting event. No, we get to. There's so many things we get to do that so many people don't get to do. And when I reframe the way I spoke about my daughter and that I don't have to be the mother of a handicapped child, I get to be. Wow, the floodgates opened. I got to see all of the best experiences I would, get because I was entering a different way of dealing with a child. I already had 3 other children. I met different people. My attitude when I met people changed. So just saying, I don't have to, I get to, or addressing it in a way that is more positive, give it a positive spin, a positive outlook. That's reframing language, and that's one of the first steps you can do. Number 2, you can reframe your expectations. So changing expectations is kind of hard because it means that we might lower our expectations, and nobody really loves to do that, but we have to be realistic about situations. So one way that this happens is time frames. Often when we're dealing with a disruption or a difficult situation, we might think, well, we can get through this more quickly. I mean, remember in COVID, we were just going to shut down for 2 weeks. Time frames are a really difficult thing to set expectations around because there's a lot of unknowns. But when you are trying to reframe a situation, I encourage you to be realistic, to maybe go a little deeper into what the disruption means and how long it might actually take. This takes some planning. Expectations are huge because they drive our emotions. If we expect a more positive outcome and it doesn't happen, then our expectations feel like we've failed. Don't do that. Don't set an expectation around a disruption that will automatically set you up for feeling bad. So get realistic, do a little planning, do a little thought provoking exercises into what could this possibly look like. Set realistic expectations. Number 3, around reframing difficult or unmanageable feeling situations is manage fears. So when these disruptions happen, fear can sneak in. This happened with my daughter. Obviously, when you're dealing with a medical situation, there's fear. And maybe your residents' families are dealing with fears. Managing fears is part of that reframing process. We don't want to talk negatively about our fears, but instead we want to move forward with courage. Well, how do you get from fear to courage? You ask yourself difficult questions. You say, how is this really bad? Or what am I really afraid of? Because when you dig a little deeper, you might see that the fear isn't that great. Or you might find that you can manage the fear with the help of somebody else. But often we just want to create scenarios in our head and get afraid and stay up at night. And that is no way to reframe a situation. So finally, ask yourself, what am I so afraid of? So those are just a few ways that you can think about reframing situations. think about managing your expectations, your fears, and changing language. This is Kathy Perry, corporate energy expert, helping you and your team stay energized so that you can serve with joy. If you want to go a little further with me, you can read below in the notes and book an absolutely no commitment strategy call so we can talk through some things and help you manage those expectations of your team. Thanks so much for watching.